Hey guys, quick ask before I get started. I'm actually have been approached by an interesting business opportunity where we will have an opportunity to potentially build a new practice, a new clinic. And so what I'm looking for actually is I'm looking to be introduced to a clinician, a rehab chiropractor who is potentially looking to open their own practice but have the guidance of me, of our team, of our group, so that they can get their practice started and not make all the same mistakes I did. Um, we have this like I said, it's a very exciting opportunity. It's in the early stages, but for the right person who, wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to be a rehab chiro, potentially wants to be in a gym setting, this opportunity could really be something to catapult you. Obviously, I believe in what we do. We have a track record of success. Obviously, if you do reach out to me, I can show you the numbers of that. But I'm looking for somebody to come in and be a rehab chiro in our community of businesses and capitalize on an opportunity in a very, very unique setting. So I don't want to give too many more details. Obviously, it's not fair to the group that we might be partnering with, so to speak. But if you're a rehab chiro out there or in school and potentially a new grad, like what we do here on the podcast, like what we do with our programs, and want to potentially have an opportunity to join, reach out to me, coaching@strivetomove.com. You can send me a DM on Instagram. The practice that we're looking to open and partner in is going to be in New Jersey. So if you have any interest in it or just want to chat, please reach out to me, coaching@strivetomove or at Justin Rabinowitz on Instagram. As always, I appreciate the listening and the followers and the positive feedback, and I hope you enjoy the episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe. All right, guys, welcome back to the pod. Today, we're going to talk about what to do when your practice flatlines. So, here's how this episode can help you. If you haven't started your practice yet, inevitably, your practice will flatline. It happens to the best of business owners. If you think you're going to grow 20, 30% month on month, you're going to be a billionaire. And there are very few billionaire chiropractors, which means that for everyone, their practice will flatline. If you are in practice and just got started and you're doing well, there's a chance your revenue has steadily increased. Well, just wait, you will flatline. And if you're a seasoned, grizzled vet doc out there, you know what I'm talking about because you potentially have flatlined, are already flatlining, or have been flatlined for years and years and years. And so if this podcast comes off as negative, I would hold you to think about it a bit differently. This is not being negative. This is being realistic. Remember, experts predict. If you're out there, and you understand and predict that your practice eventually will flatline and you accept that's a possibility, there's a good chance that you can either limit the damage, stop it from happening, or if it does happen, take the right steps to make sure it doesn't last very long. A flatline for 3 months is one thing. A flatline for 3 years is a completely different thing. And so in life and business, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have issues, but if we limit them and decrease the frequency and decrease the time that they happen, we're going to have a really successful career. So let's get into it. What do we do when our practice hits a bump in the road or hits a flat line in the revenue? I'm going to give you 3 things and I'm going to talk through them, so just stay with me. So the first thing you have to be able to do is the most counterintuitive one. And it's to actually take a step back. Imagine you get into practice with your head down, you work really hard, you go, and you get it going, but eventually you get stuck. This will be your flat line. The biggest issue that many business owners have is that the thing that got them to one level won't get them to the next. The problem that many of us have is that once we reach that stress point, we just put our head down and keep going. And in many cases, what we have to be able to do is take a step back so that we can reevaluate all of the things that we are currently doing, the things that we currently think, and make an objective decision on if they are the right action steps. So, as I've said before, most of the rehab chiros that get to me are in practice 18 to 24 months, are making between $8,000 and $12,000 per month, and they find me because they have flatlined. And what I define a flatline is, and this is an important point, so write this one down, is a flatline to me is more than 3 months of the same revenue. And what 3 months in business is a trend. And a trend is very important. So in my practices, in all of my businesses, I don't look month to month. I don't look week to week. I don't really look day to day. What I'm always looking for is trends. And so I'm always looking for 3 months. What's going on? Are we growing? Are we flatlining? Are we decreasing? And so when I see a trend, 3 months of a flatline, that will require me to take a step back and evaluate the things that we're doing. Now, step 2, so step 1 is to take a step back. Step 2, when you take a step back, is to not just keep talking to yourself. One of the things in business that's most problematic is that, for the most part, you as a business owner just agree with yourself all the time. Every single day you have a thought and you agree with yourself because you just keep going and doing the same thing. If you didn't agree with yourself, you wouldn't do it. And the actions that you're taking, you keep agreeing with that keep getting you the same result, which is a flat line. So the second step after you take a step back is to make sure that you have people around you that have been where you want to be, care about you and your business, but don't care that much. And that's a big distinction, because the problem most people have in business is that they're too close to it. They're so emotional to it that the decision-making process now becomes warped because they're close and they're emotional. And so being able to seek counsel and get advice from someone that isn't your mom and that isn't your spouse and that isn't your whatever is going to be important to you, because the advice they will give is truly in the best interest of the business. And so how do we achieve this? Well, obviously, you get around other business owners who understand what's going on. I mean, that's step 1. But even if you have a group of peers that may or may not be in your business, that they can take a look at what you're doing and see what the gaps are. Where are we screwing up? The problem always and forever will be that you were too close to it to figure out what the problem was. Because if you knew what the problem was, you already would have fixed it. And so once we flatline, step 1, take a step back. Cool the brakes, take a breath, see if we can remove ourselves from the situation at hand, from the business, from the day-to-day. That might be a day off, that might be 4 hours, that might be a weekend, it might be a week, whatever it takes. You got to step back from it. Don't just keep at it in the same exact way. But step 2 is getting advice from those people that don't necessarily emotionally invest in your business, because they are going to most likely give you the best advice possible. Now, step 3. Step 3, and this is where it gets interesting. Let's say you were a classic rehab chiro that has come into my world, that has started their business, making $8,000 to $12,000 of revenue, and is officially flatlined. You're working 20 to 25 hours a week. You are doing other business activity. You're doing some marketing. You're doing your admin work. You're working pretty hard, and you can't look up. You don't have more time. You don't have enough money to hire, and you're stuck. You're officially stuck. At that point, one of the first things that we have to go back to actually is the beginning. What often happens is the things that we did, the mindset that we had to just get that thing off the ground, are often things that we've totally forgot. For many of us, the best thing we could do, the best question we could ask us is, what have we stopped doing? Write that down. What have we stopped doing? if you've grown your practice, let's say 10 grand a month, I mean, it's not a huge business, but there's some level of success there. $0 to $10,000 of revenue is not something to sneeze at. But once you get stuck there, what we have to look at is, what did we stop doing? What got us there? It's very easy to go back and look at it. Let's look at it logically. You started at 0 hours a week. So all you were doing was going out and meeting people and networking and making connections and doing workouts and showing up at races and, doing all the things that the typical rehab chiropractor would do to get their practice going. And then all of a sudden you get pretty busy and that stuff goes away. And so that's a very, very easy case of, what is it that I stopped doing that got me here? I've told this story to my team and to my mastermind before, but I heard a story about a mastermind group like our Rehab Chiro Mastermind, but for lawyers. And in this group, they get to their conference, their live event that they have, and it's, a couple hundred lawyers. And the first thing that they do is separate the lawyers into 4 groups. They separate it into the startups, the people that have just started or just getting started. They separate it to the law groups that are making, $250,000. They separate it into a third group that's making, $750,000 to $800,000. And then the fourth group is the $1 million plus. And the first thing that they do in this event is that they take the law group that just started, the startup that's making no money, and they pair them up with the law group that's making $1 million plus. And most people would think the reason for that is so the big law group can help to teach the startup what to do. But actually, the most valuable piece of this interaction is just the opposite. Because the most valuable thing many times that you can do when you're big is remember some of the things that you did when you were small. What conversations did you have? What relationships did you build? What rapport did you have? What little details? Who did you send that text to, that email to? What connections did you make? And so it's counterintuitive to think that the big law group, the successful one, quotes, would actually get more value from the startup than the opposite. But in many cases, that's true. And so let's rewind. When your practice hits a flat line, first, I think it's important to understand how I would view a flat line. A flat line in your practice is 3 months of almost no increase in revenue, right? 3 months. Why? Because 3 months for me indicates that it's a trend. 1 month, 2 month, that's not enough. 3 months is exactly what we're looking for. So 3 months is a trend. And then the next thing I'm going to do is follow my 3-step process here. Step 1, take a step back. Take a step back. Get out of the day-to-day. Get out of the grunt work. Be able to take a breath. See if just taking a step back can help you look and see clearer. Step 2 is get around a group of people that understand what you're doing, have been where you want to go or have been already, but aren't emotionally invested in it. So most likely not your spouse and not your family. And then step 3 is to ask yourself, what did we stop doing? If we built this practice and it's been successful, what are the things we've lost? I'll give you an example from our office. So small, so stupid. And do I think that this gets someone across the line? I don't know 100%, but I'm damn sure that it doesn't hurt. So let me tell you about it. So a brand new patient, a discovery visit who we've never met before, walks into the door. And someone greets this patient. Option A to greet this patient. Hi, Mrs. Smith. Versus, Mrs. Smith, we were expecting you. We're so excited that you're here today. We'll be with you in 1 minute. Can I grab you a water? See the difference? Imagine how Mrs. Smith feels when she came in and it was a Mrs. Smith. Like, we don't know. Are we expecting you? Am I supposed to be here? Who are you? We've never seen you before. Versus, Mrs. Smith, we're so excited that you're here. We'll be with you in a minute. Can I grab you a water? That was something that our team had stopped doing that we have to do again where over the course of 12 to 18 months, done correctly time and time again, I promise you it's going to be a positive ROI on our business. We're going to have a more loyal patient, and that client and patient will have a better experience. So that is an example of what have we stopped doing that we once did. For you guys out there that haven't started your business or are just getting going, pay attention to the things that really get your business off the ground. Because at a certain point in your business, you're probably not going to learn that much new stuff. It's just going to be, you're going to be reminded of the stuff that you used to do. And if our mastermind does anything, and I'm very clear about it, is once you learn all the information, the next step is for us to keep reminding you of it and make sure that you're implementing it. I am not just creating new stuff to entertain. This is not the circus. We have to learn the information to build the business, but then my job is to remind you of it, make sure that you're accountable for it, and make sure that you do it. So if you've hit a flat line, take a step back, get around a group that can give you good advice. And then what are the things we stopped doing? What are the things we stopped doing? Notice, I didn't say one thing about treatment. If you're going to be in our world as a rehab chiro, my expectation is that you are a good clinician. We are not going to have people in this group that are not high-level clinicians. And to be honest with you, there are times when I feel I'm insulting you guys to speak about treatment. You guys are going to treat people well clinically. But if you do not have the other sides of this, the other sides of the business, that conversation with Mrs. Smith that we talked about before, the business skills, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to flatline, and your flatline will last a lifetime. This is the old line. You're not in business for 20 years. You're in business 1 year, 20 times in a row. AKA, you built the business and then you flatlined for 20 years. You're lucky to keep up with inflation. If you have any questions for me or topics for the podcast, hey, please let me know. I just came back from a mastermind event, just absolutely incredible. And we get so many questions already. And I'd like to use them as material so that we can continue to help and grow this community. One last ask here. If you're out there and you really do enjoy the podcast and it's provided you value, we're trying to grow this community. I'd love for you to take a screenshot, text it to a friend, share it on Instagram. You can tag me at Justin Rabinowitz. It would mean the absolute world to me. It's one of the most gratifying things is when people tell me, they've been listening to the podcast and they've been getting value out of it. They've been inspired by it. And we just want to be able to deliver this message to more people, especially for you newer grads, even the students out there. Obviously, they don't all know me. My goal is for them all to know me. I want the podcast to be a place where people can come and be inspired and they can see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think more importantly than anything, it's that the students that are in school and have been kind of beaten down in many aspects know that it's possible and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And if we here at the Rehab Chiro Mastermind group or in our student mentorship group or on the podcast can be that positive source for people, it would mean the world to me. So if you're out there and you are listening, you've gotten value, please screenshot it, share it, subscribe, write a review. We really, really would appreciate that. Peace. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you for free. 1, grab a copy of my free guide, the Rehab Chiropractor's Checklist. You can get that at go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. That's go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. 2, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram at Justin Rabinowitz, where I post business content. 3, subscribe to my weekly newsletter by sending me an email at coaching@strivetomove.com. And 4, leave us a 5-star review so we can gain access to more influential people and bring those lessons back to you.